CPA John Gadige. Let us hear his profile so that we are able to know who and what he is. CPA John Gadige is the Chief Executive Officer, Olin Sacco, with over 25 years of extensive experience in audit, financial management, and accounts. He has demonstrated exceptional leadership skills in Olin Sacco. Throughout his career, CPA John has held various senior positions. He began his professional journey as an internal auditor in Tower Sacco, which was then Nyandarua Teachers Sacco, where he developed a strong foundation in auditing practices and regulatory compliance. Throughout his career, CPA John has held various senior positions. He began his professional journey as an internal auditor in Tower Sacco, which was then Nyandarua Teachers Sacco, where he developed a strong foundation in auditing practices and regulatory compliance. In Olin Sacco, he has served as the internal auditor, FOSA manager, accountant, finance manager, and now the CEO Olin Sacco. CPA John has been instrumental in driving growth in Olin Sacco. During his tenure, he has seen the Sacco grow from an asset base of 3 billion in 2017 to 12 billion by the end of year 2024. Membership from 3,000 to current over 37,000, and branch network from 3 branches to 12 branches. CPA John is a holder of Master of Business Administration, MBA, from Kenyatta University, with a specialization in finance. He also holds a Bachelor of Business Administration, BBA degree in finance and accounts. CPA John is a certified member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, ISPAC, and CPSK, and a member of the Institute of Certified Public Secretaries of Kenya, ICPSK. CPA John tells this congregation that he is married and a father of 2 sons who are currently in the university studying civil engineering and law. May you be upstanding, panelist John, so that we can appreciate you. Applaud CPA John. Thank you so very much. Back to your seat. We want to take a brief of panelist CPA Joyce Ndegwa. Joyce Washeke Ndegwa is the Chief Executive Officer of Mentor Sacco, a leading financial cooperative in Kenya, with a career spanning over 28 years within the organization. She has been pivotal in driving growth, innovation, and financial inclusion. Having worked with Mentor Sacco since 1996, she ascended through various roles until 2017, when she was appointed as the CEO, becoming a highly regarded leader in Kenya's cooperative sector. Under her leadership, Mentor Sacco has experienced significant growth and transformation, steering the Sacco towards digitization, aiming for a paperless banking system to enhance member convenience. Financially, the Sacco has seen remarkable milestones under her leadership. She is a certified public accountant and holds a Bachelor of Commerce degree in finance from KCA University, with a steadfast commitment to excellence and transformation. Joyce Washeke Ndegwa continues to lead Mentor Sacco towards sustainable growth, enhanced member value, and a future-ready digitized banking experience. CPA Joyce Degwa, you could be upstanding so that we can applaud you. A round of applause for CPA Joyce Degwa, our next panelist. Last but not least, to panelist John Megich. So who is John Megich? Jacob. Mr. Jacob K. Megich is the Chief Executive Officer of Boresha Sacco, a savings and credit cooperative society limited, a regulated financial institution in Kenya. He holds a bachelor's degree in human resource management from Mount Kenya University, diploma in human resource management from Kenya Institute of Management, certificate in cooperative business administration from Cooperative College. He is certified and awarded with Advanced African Development Educator, AADE, and Advanced African Development Educator, ADE, by ACOSCA Kenya Limited, a certified pension trustee person from College of Insurance Kenya, among other certifications. He has transformed the lives of members and community through financial management training and CSR activities, among others. Mr. Megich has also taken part as a speaker and panelist in ACOSCA training sessions. He has served in the cooperative society for 30 years, since 1993. He has grown through the ranks from accounts clerk, assistant credit manager, branch manager, human resource manager, and now the Chief Executive Officer. He has managed the trajectory growth of Boresha Sacco from the current asset base of 13.02 billion to over 160,000 total account holders and 92,000 active members and shareholders, and over 8.618 billion savings and deposits with 185 strong working force. And that is the brief of panelist Jacob Megich. You could be upstanding, sir, so that we can applaud you. A round of applause. Thank you so very much. So we want to onboard you, ladies and gentlemen, for this interactive session. We shall at one point be taking reactions from the floor. I am your moderator, Dixon Munene, as far as this panel discussion is concerned. Naomba kuchukua fursa hii sasa niwakaribishe katika mdahalo huu wa jopo. We have points of discussion, and the topic is strengthening SACCOs for future resilience. Allow that we start with you, panelist John Gathige. And we want to start by asking a question under governance and leadership, sir. What governance structures are essential in your thinking for SACCOs to remain resilient in changing economic times? You realize that the times are quite turbulent as far as SACCOs are concerned. Your take, sir.
Thank you very much for having me as part of this panelist, our moderator. I want to agree that indeed good corporate governance is quite critical, and I would describe it as a cornerstone in as far as resilience in the SACCOs are concerned. Like they say, it is the sine qua non, that is the language that they use, sine qua non for SACCOs, and especially for SACCOs to meet, to be resilient. I want to look at it from the point of what a good governance structure advocates for. And I want to start by saying that a good structure, from where I see it, must advocate for clear leadership role. In other words, we talk of what we call the doctrine of the separation of powers, the doctrine of the rule of law, in terms of various opposition of the governance. Right from members, right to the directors, right to the technical bench, and all those that are involved on governance matters. It is to be clear exactly who is supposed to play which role. But there must be clarity in terms of where does the board begin, in terms of the policy formulation, where does the technical team comes in terms of policy formulation. It also matters where the member comes in terms of decision making. But importantly though as well, it's a question of having empowered structure, an empowered structure. And I want to talk about continuous empowerment, right from the membership, right to the directors, right to the technical bench, such that at one point, we must always have an empowered structure. Now, related to that, again, as part of our risk management, it is about the future of our organizations in terms of succession planning. Are we there? Do we have adequate plans? And actually, right from the members themselves. When you look at our demographics in terms of our members, you realize most of our members are aging. On the other hand, you look at our youth. And I think our youth have not fully advocated for the Sacco model of business. It raises a critical question. What is the future of the Saccos in terms of the membership going forward? We are also looking at the leadership at the body level again, as we invite our youth perhaps to join the Saccos. They are also looking at us as the leaders, and perhaps they are asking themselves, do we have one of us at that particular level? What is it that can be done in terms of building capacities, just to ensure that we onboard the youth and also the leadership at that level? It also goes hand in hand again with the issue of the management and the technical bench in terms of succession planning. If something would happen, and I think that's been the big question and the big discussion, if CEO John today does not report it to a lead Sacco tomorrow, then what is going to happen in terms of the continuity of that organization? I want to look at a structure, ladies and gentlemen, that is member-centric. That is member-centric. Now, when I talk about member-centric, every single decision by the governors and every single decision by us as leaders, it must be geared towards the welfare of the members. Now, there is what we call proximity governance. Proximity governance. How accessible are we as members? How accessible are we as leaders? How often do we engage our members? If my members of the Sacco, for example, would want to engage the CEO one-on-one, if my members would want to engage the board, now, do we practice what we call proximity governance? How accessible are we? I'm looking for a structure that advocates for transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability. I'm looking, when I talk about transparency and accountability, it is also about the kind of reports that basically we table to our members. Now, what is the quality of those reports? How do we go about doing our audits? Now, can we be able to start by the report that we are able to table? Can we be able to say how is the integrity of the various reports that you are able to table to our members?
Thank you so much, panelist John. Moving well and well said about governance structures so that we are able to survive in the economic turbulences. We're also glad that you've onboarded transparency and accountability, and in this summit, that one has come out strongly to the fore, because we must, as a leadership, be very transparent and accountable. Perhaps as a last take in your presentation, what role do you think a leadership would play in ensuring Saccos adapted to industry disruptions? You see, they always say that disrupt before you are disrupted. Kindly, sir.
Yes, I want to totally concurrence. It is said that if you do not disrupt, you will be disrupted. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, leaders, I always ask myself, way back before 1995, we did used to have a FOSA section of our SACCOs. Now, suppose one of the SACCOs represented here did not come forth, disrupt the market, and bring on board the FOSA section, because the first FOSA section was set up in the year 1995. Now, Charles Darwin is on record saying that the world is in a constant move, and we need to understand that and to realize that. But if we do not disrupt, we shall be disrupted ourselves. I want to advocate again for a governance structure. I want to advocate for readers in relation to that, who will remain adaptive, who will remain quite agile. In other words, I would want to look at a leadership that is quite very, very flexible. Leaders that is scanning the environment in terms of where are we likely to be in a few years to come. I want to talk about maybe our investment as leaders in what we call research and intelligence. Perhaps as we sit here this day, how many of our SACCOs do have a department that is specifically made to address matters to do with research? Intelligence. Do we understand from the day that we came here yesterday what new development are happening outside there that are affecting us as the SACCOs? Perhaps it is a high time that we thought about investing in what you call research and development. I want to look at it in terms of leveraging on technology. And we all know that technology is the way to go. Now, if you are left behind by technology, it is for sure that you are not likely to go far. Maybe we need to ask ourselves, looking behind, where technology has brought us up today, where are we likely to be in the next 5 years? Disruptions are all there, day in, day out. If we do not adopt, we used to have an animal called dinosaur. What happened to dinosaur? It did not adopt, it did not change. Ladies and gentlemen, our failure to change would only mean one thing: we will be extinct.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you for underscoring the fact that some sure governance and leadership is critical as far as our survival is concerned. Now, governance and leadership also propels what we call financial stability and growth. Panelist Joyce. So under financial sustainability and growth, courtesy of the governance and leadership. So how can SACCOs diversify their income streams to reduce reliance on member deposits?
Okay, thank you. So thank you very much, the moderator and the readers. In terms of SACCOs relying on other sources other than the deposits, first of all, I would want us to appreciate the fact that we cannot do without deposits, but we want to see how we can live so that we can make sure that the SACCOs do not over-rely on members' deposits. Number one, it is important, as we have learned in the sessions that have been since yesterday, the issue to do with partnerships. Partnerships are key, and as we have gone through this summit, it has come out very clearly. We need to partner with fintechs, with financial institutions, with insurance companies, so that we can have other streams of income in our institutions. When we partner with fintechs, we get products that are done online, transactions that are online based, and that brings revenue to our institutions and may relieve the reliance of the SACCOs on deposits. When we partner also with financial institutions like banks, we also have transactions that we can transact, or our members can transact through the banks to the SACCOs, which are also revenue earning, and that will make sure that at least we are able to have more retention. We agreed that for us as SACCOs, based on the model of the SACCOs, we cannot ask the shareholders to bring in capital, members bring in deposits. So the SACCOs have a big responsibility of ensuring that as we share out our cake at the end of the year, in terms of the income and the revenue that we have earned, we must make sure that we do it very carefully so that we are able to give back to our members because they are giving us deposits. Then we give back to the institution in two ways. One, in terms of the expenses. Of course, we can't do without expenses for us to run the institutions. And then we must not also forget that the institution needs something to lean on or something to hold on for tomorrow. That is the retention, and that is key, and it is something that we need to run, as you were told, run, rerun, and unrun. So that, because the issue of retention is key and it hurts. Yes.
Thank you so very much for reminding us that these institutions are an organism. It's a living thing. It can always reel out of the murky waters. We are not in a closet, that we must diversify our income streams. And therefore, assure this congregation that the SACCOs are able to strike a balance between offering competitive returns and maintaining financial stability. Because like one speaker said earlier, you see, we have made the rebates so political, that we are hell-bent to killing these organizations. Are we able to strike a balance?
I believe we can, and we are able if we are focused and open-minded. And maybe one of the things that we must do is also to make sure that when we are looking at retention and revenue, we must also make sure that we look for ways and means of reducing our expenses, maybe through automation. Because, for example, if we could have centralized operations, for example, maybe the credit department is centralized somewhere so that we have fewer staff working on our credit, in our credit department or something like that, that would go far. And that still borders towards partnerships, because then it means we shall have to do a lot of automation, we shall have to do a lot of training for our staff so that they can be able to serve our SACCOs. So I am confident and I am sure that with the right intentions, as leaders, we can be able to really make our SACCOs grow internally through retention, because it is the only means. And through retention, it means we shall have to educate our members so that they also understand that it is not just about eating, including our seeds, like you were told this morning. We don't have to eat our seeds just to please ourselves. Let us, of course, make sure that we reward our members in a good way, and then we also reward our SACCO. But with good education and training to our members, I'm sure they can understand, because they also need a tomorrow. Yes.
Thank you. And perhaps with your permission, as an off-the-cuff thing, do you think like it happened last year, because we are now under KETSA umbrella in this forum? Like last year, it was reported that most of the organizations, most of the SACCOs did a flat rate payout of the rebates. Do you think, in your own thinking, do you think that under KETSA umbrella, that member SACCOs should adopt a common studying, a common front as far as the payouts are concerned, so that we avoid so much competition that one SACCO is trying to run and match the other?
Yeah, I believe the association can also be a good forum for us to standardize the issue of returns to our members, based on the fact that majority of our members, or majority of us, trade with members who know each other and who can be able to talk to each other. The chairman yesterday was talking about nationalization. He said that he had been nationalized from Embu to Kirinyaga County, and we have quite a number of us who have moved from one county to the other. And so there's a lot of interaction within our memberships, and a lot of comparison then comes in with that. And if we speak one voice as an association, as delegates, as the KETSA readers, so that whatever language we are speaking in Murang'a is the same language that is being spoken in Rift Valley, in Eastern, wherever we are talking the same, our members will understand and they will get to believe in what we are telling them. So the association can be a good forum for the implementation of this standardization. We may not really maybe say that we are going to pay uniformly at this rate, but at least we can give ourselves a range that, of course, we don't want to push our members so far. So I believe the rate should have a minimum and of course a maximum, so that then when we ride between that rate that maybe shall be agreed upon, then our members will be comfortable and happy, as we also remember that we should not eat our seeds.
Perhaps CPA John, to add on to that, do you think CPA John, what has started in the Eastern Bloc as far as the rebates are concerned is a seed that can be nurtured for our survival?
Yes, absolutely. I am totally in concurrence with that. And readers, time has come for us to be proactive, provide leadership on what you call dividend, interest. It has been very, very political. And at that point, allow me to say that at some point, you've had some bad practices on the market, where perhaps one Sacco maybe is doing marketing, perhaps against another Sacco, on the basis of the payout, the interest rate, and so forth. But importantly, ladies and gentlemen, it is a question of being deliberate about having a dividend policy within our SACCOs. How many of us have back at our SACCOs a dividend policy? And I remember back at the SACCO that I worked for, we had an agreement at one point with our members. After conducting a lot of education, a lot of member sensitization, we were able to agree that for 5 years, we are not going to raise the interest, the dividend, beyond a certain point. And for those 5 years, we were able to do a lot of accumulation in terms of capitalizations. We need all to remember one fact, that adequate capitalization is a cornerstone. This is the foundation of our SACCOs, and basically, we don't have to wait that the regulator and other stakeholders will come in the house and remind us the importance of ensuring that we have got a lot of adequate reserves. It is incumbent upon ourselves, and I want to invoke the aspect of the dividend policy. Does one exist? If it is there indeed, then what are the value proposition? What is it that after we are able to control dividend, what is it that we are going, what benefit trickle in, so that our members can be able to understand that if dividend and interest is controlled, then what other benefits are coming in, so that at least there can be a trade-off between high dividend and interest, perhaps in favor of something else.
Thank you for reminding us that, and therefore our viewers and our listeners can now confirm that they can still remain in their seats and on their seats, even with the dividend policy, even as we pay flat rate, even as the payments remain static. Now, governance and leadership, financial sustainability and growth gets us to where we talk about member engagement and retention. See, panelist Jacob Megich. So, out of governance and leadership, financial stability and growth. Now, talking about membership engagement and retention. And you know, when we come to governance, the younger generation always has issues with us because they claim that these SACCOs are led by aging, bracket. So, how can SACCOs attract and retain younger members in an increasingly digital world?
Thank you very much, Dixon, for that question, and I'm very happy this afternoon to be with you. And thank you for having me here as a panelist. But first, allow me to agree with the theme of this workshop or the summit, Risk Management for a Vibrant Cooperative Movement. And allow me again, because it is intertwined with strengthening SACCO for future resilient relations. That is exactly what we are discussing when we are seated here, all of us. So that now we marry the two and be able to look at the resilience of our SACCOs. Because when you talk of risks and understanding the management of risks, that is the time to be able to move together. And again, before I go to members' engagement and retention, allow me to add something on the interest, dividends, payouts to the members that my colleagues have just mentioned, that other than paying a front rate be classified, you look at position 1 up to the last one, is based on the strength of reserves and what we have built in terms of assets of the SACCO. And then when you talk of, I know there are a lot of discussions which are going on as far as the rates are concerned, and it is quite a motive issue. When you talk of rates, you prove dividends, you are paid 10%, less than 10%, or even, and the other SACCO is paying 30% or 20%. All our members would attempted to compare and look at SACCO A has paid 30%, SACCO B has paid 20%. They all want to move to that SACCO. But the point is, which we really need to look at as leaders here, what kind of service to give to our members? For example, from January to December, what kind of products do we give? Do they gain from those products so that they can now be able to say, out of what I got in January, I got alone this much. And it was able to build me, and I'm able to say I've generated more income. My disposable income is more than what I was before, so that I can now take the same disposable income back to the SACCO to build the SACCO. That is the point that we need to discuss as far as that is concerned. Thank you. Number two, when you talk of, I want to pick from what my colleagues have raised here in terms of digital, because you have just mentioned something on digital, and at the same time, the question is retention of the younger population or membership of the SACCOs, which is now that demography of youth within our SACCOs. And we look at what we are and the way we are here, we'll ask a question. Among ourselves, the leaders, the board of directors and other leaders within this SACCO, we know we have youth. We have young people between the age of 18 and 35. That is the bracket and legal bracket of youth within our country. And we'll ask a question. Among the youth that you have in our homes, have we managed to recruit them to be members of the SACCO? And are they willing to be members, or they're outside within the brackets of the SACCO? Those are the things that we need to ask ourselves as we try to talk about the young people to join the SACCO. Because the point is engagement and retention of the same youth. How are we prepared in terms of what we call policies and preparation? The bylaws of our SACCOs, how are they? Are they able to give room and nurture the youth that we have so that we can be able to grow the SACCO? Look at the example, if you grow the SACCO and you look at the youth and you look at the policies that we have in our SACCOs, how have we done in terms of, how are we crafted in terms of giving room to people who can be able to join us? We might be saying, we give you 10 years, 20 years, in $1 million or 2 million for you to come into the SACCO. But we need to grow them so that they can become up to the level of leadership in the SACCO. But in terms of what we can be able to do is, one of them is digital engagement. How are we able to build our systems to an extent that is able to be used by youth? My colleagues here who are digital savvy, like our brothers and sisters who are exhibiting around here, will be able to understand that youth nowadays are using, they don't want to come to our offices and be able to say, I want to fill a form. Why should I? Why don't you put it in digital way so that I can be able to fill the form and become a member of the SACCO, save digitally and continue. We also tailor-make products for the purpose of the youth so that we can be able to continue engaging them and be able to retain the youth so that they can continue being members of the SACCO. Very key, and that is what we're even doing, Bwana Dixon, here in terms of education. We need to educate our youth, give them the importance of the SACCOs and the resources that I can be able to benefit from as far as SACCOs is concerned. What kind of incentives do you give to our youth so that they can be able to continue being in the SACCO? Because these are the people who want to be given some kind of incentives, rewards, or kind of a program that they can be able to be in the SACCO. Very key, convenience and accessibility. Because they want to access what we have. Because we are talking of engaging and retaining the youth. So, what kind of accessibility do they are able to access what the products that we have in the SACCO? And communication opportunities, because they require a lot of communication and innovative technology, so that we become innovative every now and then. We don't run in the old products, we don't run in the old system, but be innovative as much as is possible so that we can be able to give. And lastly, feedback and collaboration, so that we can be able to give feedback to the same young people as we continue engaging and retaining the same youth or the same group of demographic of our membership. Thank you.
Well said, panelist Jacob. But I'm looking at this one issue. Because we've got the young generation. And you see these are teacher-based circles. And we have the experience of the junior school teachers who were onboarded the other day. You see, they are coming from an experience where they are used to fintech money. They come to the Sacco and we are exposing them and presenting to them, you see, traditional products. So when that young person comes to the Sacco and you're telling him or her that we want this loan guaranteed, you see they are only walking away. They are finding an issue with that. So a comment on our traditional products and the services and how we can retain the young generation, or we onboard them, or we make the products appealing to them.
Thank you so much for raising that. And I'll use an e-citizen. All products and all services of the government are moving to digital. That is how we can be able to do. That is why all of us, we must learn and understand digital way of doing things. Like for example, somebody was talking about M-Pesa. You're talking about transactions using our phones. People are looking at their phones now. What are you doing? Those are digital systems that we need to use. Some are even checking their salaries. Like the other day, salaries for teachers were posted. I'm very sure you have done a lot of transactions. It was yesterday or today? Yesterday. And then you have done a lot of transactions using digital. Even the JSS now, we are engaging them so that we can be able to use more so on the digital platform than the physical ways. And that is the best way we can be able to engage our youth.
Thank you for sharing with us the insights. And you know from where the panelist Jacob has left, panelist John Gadige, you see, we're talking about digital transformation and innovation. And you see, in this summit, we are having digital companies with us. And you know, immediately after this, we shall be having them present. So are we able to interpolate? Are we able to poke holes? Are we yet there as SACCOs? Or what are the key digital innovations SACCOs should adopt to stay competitive, sir?
Thank you very, very much for that question. Perhaps as we left that debate on the youth engagement, there's a whole question of asking ourselves, where do we find our youth? Which space do we find them in? You're talking of the X, you're talking of the LinkedIn, you're talking of the TikTok, you're talking about all those other the solutions or where we find them. And again, it is a question of us speaking the language that they speak. It's a question of us speaking the language that they speak. Now, one of the key things that I think is also working out well is perhaps thinking about maybe a youth blood ambassador, someone who fully identifies with the youth in terms of the language, in terms of the technologies that they use, and such other language and behaviors that is proper in that particular space. Now, we're talking about the key innovations, and I need to say that, and we all know this, that the way to go is technology. The way to go is technology. When you look at where the technology has driven us, you can all appreciate the need for a continuous embracing of the technology. And for us, some of the key things that we need to think about is one of them is what you call the member portal. I don't know how many of us have been able to provide a member portal in such a way, or what you call the internet banking, such that instead of our members coming all the way physically to our SACCOs, at the comfort of their mobile phones, they can be able to engage. Maybe they can be able to check their balances, and this is slightly different now from what you call the mobile solution. They can even be able to get their statement for all the time. They can be able to be interactive, and as far as the account in the SACCO is concerned, members portal. Maybe another kind of digital automation that we can think about is about members service booth. Members service booth. When you go to the airport, you want to do an online check-in. You don't always have to go to the cashier there, present your document, present your ID, present your passport, and so forth. What about in our banking halls, electing a number of service boards such that members can come in, they can be able to do some simple activities aloud, and that one they can be able to do for themselves. They can get their balances, they can even print a statement. We are looking at other automations like having even what we call their own calculators that maybe through that service board, through the mobile solutions, or through such other automations, they can even be able to know, if I want to go to Orin today, I want to go to this other circle, this is my payslip. I can be able to key in certain information. I'm able to know how much money can I be able to get. We are looking at also automating what my colleague, CEO Megich, has said. It's about an online guarantee, having most of our services being automated. You talk to other financial institutions that I do not want to mention, you hear them say 80% of our loaning is done online. It is virtual. You come to a Sacco, every other day, a member is moving throughout the whole day, moving a form from station A to station B. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to automate our services, and in particular our loaning. The loans such as the long-term loans, you're talking of development loans, loans of 10 years and so forth. When are we going to automate them? When are we going to allow for the online guarantee, such that instead of I or a member who is supposed to be in school, maybe get a day or two, moving from one village to another, getting guarantors and so forth. We are looking at integration, and I want to say that we are happy that at KETSA there is what you call the M-Kaja that is just about to come. Now, through M-Kaja, and I know somebody will speak about it. Now, SACCOs through the KETSA will be integrated.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe even in our own homes, we have some small rules, even if they are not written. In our schools, we are head teachers. We have the rules that we set. We have the time that students should come to school. We have the time for breaks and time for going home in the evening. For me, I look at regulation from that perspective. Let's appreciate regulation. Let's make sure that we understand why regulation is here with us, so that then we can be able now to transfer. Remember, we were told that we are the people, first of all, who are to understand and then push it downwards to the rest of the teams. So when we clearly understand the need for regulation, then it becomes very easy to implement it. We look at it positively, we understand the reason why it should be done. As we appreciate it, we remember yesterday we were told there are 5 regulators in Kenya, and I don't know whether it is discriminative or it is by nature. The institutions that are regulated are institutions to do with finances. That is the financial institutions like SACCOs, banks, insurance companies, retirement, companies that deal with retirement monies for members or for people, for the community. And so when ourselves, we come back to ourselves as SACCOs, the moment we appreciate the reason why the regulator is there, then we shall be able to implement regulation. I believe through understanding, then when we go back to our SACCOs and as we drive our SACCOs forward, then the first thing we should do is to make sure that we align our institutions with regulation. How do we align our institutions with regulations? By developing policies that are in line with regulation. The policies that we have, for example, savings policies, dividend policies that we have talked about here, credit policy, and risk policies, and very many other policies that we have in our institutions, they must align with regulation so that at the end of the day, we shall not even be implementing what the regulator wants, we shall be implementing what we have in ourselves and what we believe in. The next thing would be to train both the board and the staff and the members. Remember, the members are also key stakeholders. The members are the reason why all the SACCOs here exist. If we don't have members, without membership, we would not have SACCOs. So we must appreciate and also look for ways and means of ensuring that our members are well informed and updated so that they don't come quarreling us when we tell them that there's a ratio fulani that the regulator requires us to have. We make sure that our education and training, as today we are doing, are aligned with regulation. So if everything we do is aligned with regulation, then we shall have a very smooth way. And maybe also, when we are talking about automation, we also need to make sure that whatever we automate is also aligned with regulations, so that now we don't only produce the loan aging analysis. Those of us who, and I'm sure all of us know, because it is a legal requirement that we have a PAR of below 5%. How do we ensure that this happens? We don't wait until the end of the month or the end of the quarter when the regulator requires the report to go and check on the report. We can check on it at any time. How do we check on it at any time? By making sure that our systems are well aligned with that, so that anyone can produce, or whoever is relevant can produce a report that is necessary, so that we can be able to see or to bring to our attention as early as possible if anything is not going the way it should. We have ratios like liquidity ratios. We don't have to wait until the end of the month to know that we are below the liquidity requirements. After all, the regulator is just there to make sure that what the SACCOs are doing is in business is what is prudent, for example. Because even without a regulator, I'm sure all of us would have to be very keen to make sure that our liquidity ratios are good, whether we are calling it a ratio or not. Without the regulator, maybe we would not be calling it a ratio. But we'll be asking ourselves every morning, do we have enough money for members to transact? That is itself now what the regulators are now coming in to tell us to enforce. So if we look, I go back to what I began with, moderator, if we look at the definition and understand it positively, then it flows very well and we shall not have issues.
Beautiful. Our viewers, we are still on strengthening SACCOs for future resilience. And from panelist Joyce, we've been implored to engage positive energy as far as regulation is concerned. But panelist Joyce, if you were given a minute to ask the government a question, what would you tell the government that this is your role and responsibility that you should play in order for you to strengthen SACCO resilience in the future?
Okay, thank you. I think the first thing I would request, or I would talk about, is involving the regulatees, if I would call ourselves so, because we are the ones who are being regulated. So when, for example, the regulatory implementers in our case now, we have the Ministry of Cooperative Development and we also have the regulator, SACCO. So those two institutions must make sure that they involve the stakeholders while they are coming up with the regulations and with the guidelines that they feel that they should bring to us, so that, as we said, somebody, I don't know whether it is Director Zero who was telling us that if you want, no, it is Chris Morethi who was here in the morning. He told us that if you want whatever decision that you are making to be owned, make sure that before you first pronounce it, you educate whoever you are bringing it to. So if, for example, whatever we add regulatory requirements, the regulator would want to come up with, but first of all, make sure that we understand what it is about. Remember, we are human, and the nature of human is to reject anything that you don't know, even if it is good. You will come to know that it is good at the end of it all, but to begin with, it becomes very difficult when people don't understand. So it is very important for me, for the regulatory bodies or the government, to, whenever they need to make amendments and changes, to involve the stakeholders, so that it is well taken, and then implementation is very easy. The next thing, I think that should happen is also to take feedback from the regulatees as much as possible, because it is from the feedback that they will be able to see the gaps, and then they'll be able to know where they need to tighten, where they need to loosen. Because it does not mean whatever regulatory guidelines have been issued today will work next year. Things are changing. So we are saying everything is changing. So even regulations will also change based on time and circumstances.
Still extending the power of commissioning of KETSA, our umbrella, to keep on pushing some of these things so that at one point we do not find ourselves in a mess. Now, as we come to the tail end of this panel discussion, panelist Jacob, Boresha Sacco perhaps originates from an area that is climatically not very much endowed. For example, we are now in Baringo, and you know in Baringo it does not get hot, it boils. So there's no way you can talk about the survival of institutions, organizations, without mentioning climate and, you know, the changing times of the weather and water view. And therefore, as far as the resilience of SACCOs are concerned, we want to touch something small on climate and then social responsibility. Because again, you see the social fabric, the ethnicity in Kenya, the divide. You know, we would ask ourselves, are we going to survive in this climate and that kind of social fabric, the divide that we are having in Kenya? What are some of the best practices for SACCOs to contribute to perhaps socio-economic development of a community, given that kind of a divide?
First of all, thank you very much for that question. Climate and social responsibility. And the question is the best practices that can contribute to social and economic development for any SACCO. And particularly in Boresha Sacco, and I thank you for mentioning this region, where we are seated now is under the classification of semi-arid and arid area. And if you want to have it further, you can move northwards. That is when you can even find the heat. It's even boiling there now. It's a bit better here. However, on the other island areas, like Eldama Ravine, where I come from, and the other sides of Cabernet, the headquarters of this county, is a highland area and it's a bit cool. But generally, when you talk of the region here, we are talking of a hot area, especially the eastern or the lower region of this county. We appreciate that, and that is nature. Nature has given us that position, and we must take care of the environment so that we can be able to move. One of which is, as a SACCO now, under the cooperative principles, the one which you care for the community and at the same time under corporate social responsibility, the SACCO has come up with a way that we can be able to partner and partner with communities around this region, so that we can be able to say how to alleviate the kind of challenges that we have as far as climate or what we call environment is concerned. Talking about climate now here, before you go to the social or corporate social responsibility and the economic aspect of it, the SACCO has partnered with so many organizations, one of which we have come up with a product which we are asking the youth and even other groups of membership to be able to be planting trees, so that we, as a SACCO now, we can be able to pick and be able to give to institutions like schools. Like for example, 2023, 2024, and 2023 to 2023, 2024, we have managed to plant over 18,000 trees, seedlings, within the regions. The program is, whenever we have an opportunity, we pick seedlings from the people who have planted. We have people who have come up in groups, and we have given them opportunity. We have given them a product in terms of credit, so that they plant trees and sell. We pick as a SACCO and be able to give to institutions. We can pick a school and give like 500, 1,000 trees to that school. The students or the people in that school and the management of the school, the teachers, are able to take care of those trees until they are able to grow. We are trying to look at how we can mitigate the difficult conditions in terms of climate. We have also participated in other activities, and even the government. Recently, the government were able to say we want to plant 15 million trees by a certain period, and we have been part of that journey. The leaders who have been now, we are part of that journey. We are also looking at the kind of crops that the farmers can be able to grow. We are supporting the irrigation schemes here in this region of Marigat, and as a result of that, the economy of the region will be able to be improved. We also come up with what we call dairy farming within the upper region. and we are supporting the farmers as far as well. Why are we saying this? We are saying this when you talk of social responsibility, and at the same time, economic empowerment of our people. So that you look at the products that you give to the farmers, or what we call members of the Sacco. At that point, what kind of product, which can you give so that they can be able to improve? Because you need to look at the region. You look at another place like where we are, you talk of chai, for example, tea. You talk of farmers who are growing seeds. We have made a tripartite agreement between ourselves, threefold agreement between Kenya Seed, Boresha Sacco, and the growers or the farmers here in this region, so that they can be able to improve their socio-economic fabrics in the region. So that's how we have intermingled and worked together with the members. Other than also working on the mainstream membership in terms of the other ones who are able to use other products like the traditional products that we have, so that we can be able to build the social and what we call economic activities of our membership. At the end of it all, we're able to improve. Look at, for example, the Tiati, just to pick that example, Tiati constituency, where we've all been hearing about cattle rustlings within that region. Boresha Sacco has come in there so that we inculcate the knowledge of savings. It's another way of giving alternative savings or alternative source of income, so that they can be able to live the culture that they've been doing that. And as a result of that, we have managed to come up with youth groups, women groups, and other chamas within that region, so that they can now be able to move away from that culture. With the assistance of the administration and the government, county government and the national government, and you have been seeing news and you've been seeing what is happening there. Things are cooling down as a result of those partners and stakeholders working together as a result of that. And at the end of it all, the lives of people will be able to be empowered within that region and the entire region where the Boresha Sacco is. Thank you.
That's a beautiful case study or case studies from Boresha Sacco, and we are happy panelist Jacob. And we want to spice up that one with some experience from Olin Sacco, because Olin Sacco has also some experience in Asal, and you go to the Masai Lad and you try to let the members know that you cannot keep the cattle all along in and out of season. At times when it is very dry, you need to offload some of the stock and you bank that money. How has been the experience of Olin in Asal called Kajiado?
Thank you. Kajiado is one area that is really classified as a hardship area. And when you take your circle there and you take services to the members there, it is imperative that you think about their welfare. Now, I think right now, when there is the weather is the way it is, like the moderator has just put it, it's a question of looking at perhaps how best they can be able to have their wealth. The community around that region is about having cattle and all that, and we always encourage them at a time like now. It's a question of perhaps converting that wealth into another form, such that once maybe the weather changes, we can be able even to provide cheap facilities, such that we can be able to bring them back again. But over and above that again, as part of the CSR, we have also found ourselves even perhaps partnering with the schools, the management, and also building classrooms. And I remember in a number of schools, even buying water tanks and so forth, just to ensure that we uplift the economic, the socio-economic welfare of the people around there. But importantly, it is about time like now. We also do a lot of empowerment programs. We need to educate those people and the members around, the community around, that when the weather changes and it behaves in a certain direction, you can always be able to have your wealth converted perhaps to cash, and then appropriately this cash is converted back so that they can be able now to continue with the routine that is mainly about cattle rearing.
Thank you so very much, and I know our viewers are listening, and we've got several examples. We've got SACCOs that are having foundations. I'm reminded of Imarika and so many others who are now impacting positively on the community arising from that fundamental skill of care for the community through the CSR activities. Remember, through our SACCOs, we should be able to address the climatic issues so that we are able to enhance what we call peace and cohesion within this country and the nation of Kenya. We are coming to the tail end of this debate, this discussion, and I want to give the panelists each have a minute for a parting shot, starting from where panelist Joyce is.
Thank you very much. Mine is going to be very brief, in line with our theme, risk management for a vibrant cooperative movement. So as I'm sitting here, I'm just looking at us and trying to ask myself, how many members did you register, Madam Ivy? Around 200. So we're talking about 200 readers that participated in this summit. And I'm trying to look at that from the perspective of sustainability and in terms of numbers. Because personally, I believe for us to grow as SACCOs and as a movement, it is about numbers. So I want to give ourselves a small assignment. For each one of us to be here or to be born, for any one of us who is seated here to be born, they are required to be two people. Sindio, it's true. They are required to be a mother and a father. So for the two of them to be born, how many people are required behind them? Four. For the 4 to be born, how many were behind? Not 8. 16. So for the 16 to be born, how many people were behind there? 256. Yes? Just one person here, but if any of the 256 people were not born, we would not be here. Sindio? We go further. For the 256 to be born, who is going to calculate for us? How many people did we require? For the 4 million, I think, huh?
Is multiplied by 4.
The square, not the square root. What is it called?
Square of 200.
What is the square of 256? Ivy? 65,536 for the two people, for the one person that we are talking about here to be born. Sorry? Yes. So for the 6,000, behind them we had around 4 million and something. So what am I bringing up? I want us to look at ourselves. Mr. John Gathige, CPA Gathige has said that when the fish rots from the head, we were told here in the morning by Chris Morethi that we are the greatest risk. So from that perspective, I want us to, as we go back to our SACCOs, to tell ourselves that we would want now from today, going forward, the 4 millionth person to be born from us, from our generation, to find Mentor, to find Imarika, and to find any other SACCO that is represented here, including the association. And so what do we need to do? Just to follow all what we have been taught here, we become our brother's keeper, and our institutions will really grow. May God bless you. I'll leave you with a quote. Yesterday has gone, and tomorrow hasn't come. So do your duty with all your might. For today is the first day of the rest of your life. May God bless you.
What I would call a fast for our SACCOs. What are we going to disrupt in the industry? We have got so many other competitors there, so many other enemies out there. Is it a time that the leadership of KETSA heavily invested in research, and we ask ourselves, what is the next big thing? What is it that how are we going to disrupt the industry? When are we going to have a fast for KETSA as an association? Thank you.
Thank you. Over to panelist Jacob, you are parting short.
Thank you very much. Lastly, and thank you so much, panel and moderator, for the opportunity that you have been given to us, or me. I want to thank you so much. I want to say two things so that I come to the conclusion at that point. First of all, when you talk about JSS, and I want to agree with my colleague, CEO Joyce and John, as far as GSS is concerned, you've just talked about engaging them early. And in Boresha Sacco, we have a product which we are calling Mzinga Junior Account. This is targeting youth, targeting people who are still in school up to the age of 18 years. Then from there, the other account is turned into a main savings account for you. And that is when we also engage some of the chairs as people or the teachers, as a membership. Because that is the time we converted the young people now to membership of the Sacco. And we started engaging them early enough. Number 2, technology, utilization of technology. What is our presence? How are we in the social media? If you look at the website of the organization, if you look at Twitter handle, if you look at Facebook, if you look at X, nowadays X, and others, Instagram and the rest, how is your presence there so that they can be able to reach us? Like long time ago when I joined Boresha Sacco, you talked about my profile there being 30 years. I'm now 32 years in the organization. Thank you very much. When I came to the Sacco, we used to wait for members to come to the Sacco. They could knock the door and I want to be a member of the Sacco. What are the processes? You show them the process and they become members of the Sacco. Nowadays, what do? You go for them. You look for them where they are. You don't even wait for them to settle. You just find yourself there and start early enough and engage them to be members of the Sacco. Number 3, what kind of service do we give to the members of the Sacco? They value the quick service and the best service that they can be able to give. If you are to talk of appraising of an application loan for a loan, how long does it take? What is the turnaround time? You talk of 72 hours, that is too long. They want it within the same day. What kind of service? We embrace technology so that it can be able to give us quick services rather than now, because I know they are moving, they are very fast, they are able to move. But if we give the best services, we will be able to retain them. Lastly, I will say, when it comes to social versus business, the Sacco is, you talk about social, you talk about business. And at the end of it all, the pendulum sits in between so that we can now be saying we have business and we have social, so that we can be able to move our membership and grow the Sacco. With the support of all of us, we can be able to move the cooperative movement in Kenya to even greater heights, especially so the KETSA membership in terms of the teachers-based SACCOs. Because KETSA, thank you very much for uniting all of us so that we are now one thing. About 45 cooperative SACCOs in Kenya who are teachers-based. So KETSA, you still have some work to recruit. But all of us, let's participate together so that we become even more strong and an advocacy group for our teachers-based SACCOs. Thank you.